Welcome back to Off Ball Takes. This is your host, Jarby Laws, and this is my co-host.
Christopher Wells.
We appreciate all the recent support on our content, and as you guys can see, we are here with a live episode. Really a live reaction to the crazy news that just came out, and it's crazy. We just gotten off of a long, stressful night of 2K, about to turn in, and we got maybe trade of the freaking decade, because this is insane. And of course, it's involving a couple of pretty powerhouse teams and some competitive guys. And yeah, I'm not going to, everybody knows what it is. I'm not going to say it, but we'll get into it. And before we do get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the OBT Podcast for more content and updates. But break it down for us, Chris.
Yeah, so I mean, we just had a blockbuster trade that just happened. We got Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks going to the Los Angeles Lakers along with Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. The Dallas Mavericks get Anthony Davis, former Laker, former champion with the Lakers. Also Max Christie, their recently re-signed, extended, young player, 3-and-D guard, a 2029 first-round pick from the Lakers. Also, the Utah Jazz are in this deal. They get Jalen Hood-Schifino, right, former first-round pick from the Lakers, along with 2 second-round picks. Just a wild thing, and it's funny because, earlier, right, you had this big matchup, I guess, between the Lakers and the Knicks, right? So, like, AD, he was playing against the Philadelphia 76ers, right? He got hurt. Unfortunately, right, it was what was considered a minor injury, right, an abdominal strain, about a week and a half or so for an evaluation period. And the Lakers, they lost that game against the Sixers, right? But then they had a major bounce back game against this New York team, right? The Knicks are pretty much fully there. OG Anunoby gets hurt in the game, but most people didn't expect the Lakers to win, and they got a big upset win. Not in a million years would you have actually thought that anything would have happened, right? So we're playing 2K. We're basically done. About 5 minutes after we get off, less than that, honestly, I get this notification from Shams, and I'm just sitting there just dumbfounded, just reacting to what's going on, not even thinking that, not even realizing what I'm reading, thinking like, is this real?
Right.
And then I kept asking you, like, oh my gosh, I kept saying, this can't be real. This can't be real. And then you're like, what? And then you find out for yourself, and then you read it. And then you're like, what? And then after that, right, then we get more and more tweets coming in confirming it's real, right? Like, so it wasn't just Shams. He puts it on his other platforms, right? So he puts it on IG, he puts it on Threads. But then Chris Haynes comes out, confirms it. Jake Fisher comes out, confirms it. Mark Stein comes out, confirms it. Even like a Tim McMahon, he confirms it, and he kind of mentions that the Mavs had concerns moving forward with Doncic due to conditioning issues and a looming commitment of a Supermax extension. Yes, no, this is real, Gail Navarrete. This is real. This is a real thing. This is not like some phony, fake, crazy trade, fake trade that you do on
real.
2K.
This is not clickbait. We are not clickbaiting for views. You can literally Google it. Don't leave the stream. But yeah, it's real. Everybody's at a loss for words because I don't think anybody understands the thinking from a certain side. Because from Dallas's perspective, why would you give up your franchise guy for AD?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and Shams, he just put out another tweet saying the Mavericks approached the Lakers recently and offered Luka. So it was the Mavs, I guess, that initiated it. Lakers brass met and believed the 25-year-old Doncic had the ability to be the face of their franchise for the next decade while giving Anthony Davis a win-now move in Dallas. So how do we feel about this, from both sides? Because the way that Shams is wording it, he's kind of making it seem like the Lakers are looking at it as we're working towards that post-LeBron era, and we're just going to move AD now and put him on a potentially winning team. He's going to go play with Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington and everyone else. I'm curious how else that's going to work, right? Because obviously you got Lively there, Gafford's still there. I guess AD can go back to playing the 4, or he could play the 5, PJ Washington. So that's where, that's the part where there's got to be a little bit more to this or something like that, just because, it's so bizarre how all of that's going down. But, and then the Jazz, I guess, somehow get involved. And that's where I'm kind of confused in terms of just how this all came together. But it seems like Luka Doncic is a Laker. I remember talking about this where, in the offseason in the summer, where we were kind of talking about it from the perspective of this was a rumor that the Lakers are kind of chasing after AD, because we hear this a lot about the Lakers going after stars. And it doesn't usually happen. But they got their guy, I guess. And so now you got Luka and LeBron playing together, I guess.
That's crazy.
40-year-old LeBron, 25-year-old Luka. Now, of course, Luka, he's still out with his injury, so we're assuming he's probably not going to be back for at least a little bit. And then you got AD going to Dallas to play with Kyrie Irving and, the rest of their core. So, thoughts? I'm a Laker fan, and I don't know how to react to this, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, from Dallas's perspective, I understand it because, we were talking about it for their deadline. Like, were they going to make a splash? What were they going to do? I thought they would just, stand pat and, hope that Luka gets healthy in time for the playoffs and, everybody else gets healthy as well because they're not just dealing with Luka injuries. They're dealing with the whole squad kind of being in and out. But this is unbelievable. So I do understand it from that perspective, but to let go of your franchise guy, because I think in reality, I think we all expected Luka to win a title with Dallas at some point. But now, I mean, that's completely out of reach. He's not a Maverick anymore. But him going to LA, I think is amazing. For like, I'm not a Laker fan, and I love this for the Lakers because you're moving on from AD. Maybe the recipe didn't really work in the past few years, since post-title year. And LeBron is on his way out. So you bring in Luka, who's a proven franchise guy. He's been to the finals before. So I think and they can easily get him some help down the line once LeBron is out of there. So, I really love it for the Lakers. From Dallas, probably not feeling it as much, but I still do understand it.
Yeah, the question now for Dallas is, because they were in this weird spot where, they were playing really well earlier this season. Now, Luka was not having a great individual season, but his numbers were still all right. But he was battling injuries, right? And then it wasn't just him that gets hurt. Everyone else gets hurt, right? Kyrie gets like a bad bulging disc in his back, right? You got Derek Lively fractures his foot. Maxi Kleber broke his foot. Dante Exum, before the season started, I believe, fractured his wrist. He just came back, right? So, I mean, just a bevy of injuries to anyone and everyone on that team. But I think the thought process was maybe you look at it as not like a lost year, but like a year where it's just a nightmare season where everybody's hurt and it may just not be your year.
Sure.
But maybe you make some moves and see if you can get healthy and then make the big run, because that kind of happened at different points last season where they had guys that were in and out. But for the Mavs, I guess now you're just running it with AD. It's just, when was the last time something like this happened? I mean, I guess, maybe AD going to the Lakers, but even then, this is different because with Luka, they just got to the NBA Finals a year ago.
This is franchise for franchise too,
Yeah, so I don't really know what's going on. So according to Tim McMahon, Nico Mannion, the Mavs GM, he said, I believe that defense wins championships. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. So he's almost basically just kind of like throwing Luka out the door. Like, I mean,
that's
in
a complete
way,
shot at him. He's basically saying you can't do anything on the defensive end. Wow.
Right. So that's, I don't know, man, because I remember we were talking about, because we've just recorded an episode yesterday or the other day, Thursday or whatever, for Friday, right? So, and then we were kind of on the lines of like, man, how many big trades are we going to get at the deadline? I mean, of course, we thought maybe Jimmy. We'll see, how that impacts things, right? Then possibly De'Aaron Fox, but I don't think we at all thought, that either of these teams would make any big trades, right? And certainly we didn't think either of these stars would get moved. That's kind of the crazy thing is that you got, I mean, the Lakers, we kind of assume that they may make some smallish deals, right? Maybe they don't make we didn't expect them to trade for a star.
No.
But yeah, so I mean, again, it's just kind of bizarre because I guess for Dallas, they're looking at it as a win now thing. And then from the Lakers perspective, I guess it's the end of the LeBron AD era. We didn't expect it to end this season, but I think we thought that maybe a year or two left. Just odd. Wow. I mean, because just the other day, I mean, you had AD talking to Shams about, him saying that he wanted the Lakers to trade for a center. So that way he didn't always have to play the four. And then, you got some rumors about LeBron and AD believing that they just needed some more additional pieces to continue to be able to contend. But this is just kind of bizarre now because, I mean, I don't even know how to react to it because, I mean, just you got Luka, right? Who, when he's healthy, he's one of the 5 best players in the NBA. But you still kind of have a barren roster, right? I mean, I guess they have some of the guys that they just trade. Like you still have Austin, but like you're gonna have Austin and Luka. As your backcourt, you're gonna have LeBron and whoever else you can have at your forwards and center spot.
Yeah,
I don't
who's
know.
gonna be your 5?
Right? Like I don't
Oh
know.
my
I mean,
god.
and also like, what's happening with LeBron? Like, is he good with this? Like,
Mm.
is he thinking? I mean, we just saw him play and have a great game against the New
Was it a
York
triple
Knicks, right? A
double?
30-point, yeah, 30
Yeah.
point triple double to keep the Lakers afloat in the playoffs. But now, I mean, I guess they're just kind of blowing it up, I suppose, and we kind of talked about it from the perspective of either go all in or blow it up, and we were kind of thinking that they were probably just going to do neither and just kind of just ride it out. But now they're blowing it up. And my thought was, I was thinking like, if you trade AD, could you trade him to OKC and get all these picks? I wasn't even thinking about like getting back like an equivalent type of star.
Right.
That wasn't
If not, even
even my
better.
thought process at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, this is crazy. So, I guess the question would be now is what's the next thing? And of course, we didn't even we didn't even think about it. Former Laker champion Markieff Morris going back to LA, who doesn't even really, play at this point, but still, I mean, I don't know.
I'm at a loss
Like,
for words. How does one?
yeah,
I want to
right.
know how this came to be, who greenlit it, and what are the other stuff that we don't know? Because I feel like you said, there is definitely a missing piece that we don't know yet that will probably come out in the next couple of days, if not hours.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean,
what does this look like? How is this gonna work?
I don't well, because I guess when you look at it from LA's perspective, so Max Christie's gone. Obviously AD's gone. JHS is gone as well. Now he wasn't really playing. I think he was hurt, but he wouldn't have been playing regular minutes
Yeah.
anyways. But still, you had to move him because they declined his team option, so he'd be a free agent.
Yeah.
So Luka, Reeves, Austin, LeBron, Jackson Hayes. I mean,
You
like
think there's something else that they do? There's got to be, right?
I mean, what else can you realistically do? I mean, I guess you'd have to maybe you flip like a Rui, maybe do you even move Austin? I mean, he's on a good contract, but
I would move Rui if anything.
after because the problem is after your stars, right? You don't have a lot of guys now that make that much money, right? Like say like a Max Christie. I mean, again, he made 8 million. That's not a whole lot. So it looks like Miami Heat Network. That's Trent. He wants to be invited to the call. So you want me to throw him in?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right. So how it is, Trent. Basically, so like I can you just join the Discord again like you normally do. And then when you join, we'll bring you in. So I think I sent you the link to the Discord in your DM, so you can just check that, and I can send it again if you want. I'll send it to you. And you can just send it there, or you can just join there. But yeah, this is crazy. I again, there's the only, and it said Luka didn't request the trade. It was the Mavs that approached the Lakers. And this is
Right.
kind of what we're talking about. And something must. I don't know. That's just wild because again, like you're basically bailing on your franchise guy.
Yeah.
You guys
What
think
up,
he went
Trent?
cheap? What up?
Wait, who said that? You guys think he went for cheap?
That's Martell.
What's up,
Yo,
Trent? What up, bro?
bro, listen.
What's up?
Yo, I'm feeling a little nice right now, but listen, this trade right here is
Mhm.
gonna be this trade. This trade's gonna be talked about for 10 years. I tell you this,
Guaranteed.
bro. This is the
Guaranteed.
dumbest trade ever. You know why this is the dumbest trade ever, bro?
Why?
The Lakers are gonna be no one's gonna care about the Lakers in 2 years,
Why?
bro. If you think Luka's gonna carry this franchise when LeBron's gone, good luck. But I see their vision. I see the vision. For the Mavericks got way better. 100% way better.
That's
But
interesting.
I want to hear what y'all got to say real quick. I got to mute myself. So I just got to get to the crib real quick. It'll be 2 seconds.
All
But
good.
I just want to hear what y'all got to say. Cause
I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead, Chris.
you want to go first, I guess. If I'll let you go first, man.
I mean, to be honest, I like it from the Mavs perspective because you're getting off the franchise guy. You're grabbing, you know, Anthony Davis, who's a good defensive player, but at the same time, like,
Great defensive play.
yeah, you're moving on from the franchise though. That's the crazy part. You're moving on from the franchise very quickly. You just got to the NBA Finals, but you know, like all the tweets have been saying, it's a win now move for sure. But from the Lakers' perspective, I like it because, like you were talking about, Trent, you can see the vision. I think there's something in the future to be had there, and I think it was kind of an offer that they couldn't really pass up. And I think they're thinking post LeBron. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Because as a Laker fan, my thought process is because we talked about it in our previous recordings, where again, if you're the Lakers with LeBron and AD, you either go all in or you blow it up. Now, we didn't actually really expect them to do either. We kind of assumed that they were going to just do, you know, kind of what they've been doing the last couple of years, where it's like, if there's a decent deal, we'll do it, but we won't, you know, give up, you know, our future or anything. But instead, this is blowing it up, right? Because, or at the very least, you're blowing it up from the perspective of LeBron or AD. I'm curious to see where LeBron factors into this.
Yeah,
but
right.
you know, but either way, you know, you got back an asset for AD. You got back Luka Doncic, right? Who's also considered one of the best players in the game. It's just like you said, Trent. It's a future. It's definitely a future vision piece, right? Because he's what 25, 26 or whatever. So he's still got, you know, depending on his conditioning, which is reportedly what the Mavs have been concerned about, which is a concern at this point in his career because it's not like he's 20. He's in his mid-20s now, and he's currently hurt anyways. So you factor that in. But, you know, I guess long-term, we'll kind of have to see, can he get some guys to come to LA, right? Because, you know, in the past, some people have kind of thought his style of play kind of had a reputation of how many guys would actually want to play next to
Right.
him. You know, like Kyrie didn't choose to come to Dallas. He got traded there, you know, by the Nets. But, you know, we'll see. But it's funny because the Lakers seem to have an ability to just, you know, kind of grab these stars, you know, at different points, right? Because obviously they got LeBron, you know, traded for AD. Now they got Luka. So just kind of a weird thing. But yeah, it like for the Mavs, I'm very curious to see how that works, right? Because now, like, you know, it's AD's team, but he's playing next to, you know, more of a guard type player. Like LeBron can play on the perimeter, but Kyrie, you know, and AD, that's going to be a pretty nasty combo. And you have defense around those guys too. So like they can still be really good. You just have to bank on AD being healthy, which he has been for the last year and a half or so. But then you also got to bank on Kyrie being healthy too. Is that enough to be able to get you past some of these other squads? You know, we'll see. But this is a shocker. This is a shocker.
So does this mean
Yeah,
AR will
listen.
come off the bench? Probably not. I think
Probably
he
not. I
start.
mean,
He
they can
has to
play.
start.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can play next to each other. It's just you're not going to have any defense in the backcourt, but you know, still.
So I'm back.
Uh-huh.
But
You
listen,
good?
right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
for the Maverick side, I like it because they're going all in my opinion, right? Because if you look at their lineup, you got Kyrie Irving now with Klay Thompson at the 2, PJ at the 3, Davis at the 4, Gafford Lively at the 5.
Complete identity
Defensively,
switch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Defensively, Nico Harris just came out and says defense wins championships. He's throwing shots at Luka, pretty much saying you don't play defense.
Yes.
So now
Yep.
you have Twin Towers. Now it's a little bit different, but the Lakers won championships because they had Dwight, JaVale McGee, and Anthony Davis. They were Twin Towers out there. So
Mhm.
now Anthony Davis gets to play the 4 with Lively and Gafford. Now the thing is, for the Lakers side, Luka's for the future, but Luka and LeBron, I just don't know how Luka can hold up for this season. Luka been in and out this season with so many injuries. Like because I get it's for the future, but they're still trying to win now and next year. But he's been injured this whole year. So how is he gonna come back and play Luka basketball? Like he's still gonna have those crazy numbers, don't get me wrong, but his efficiency and his defense is gonna be awful. And the Lakers can't afford that. Like the defense, they can't afford that. AR-15 is the most overrated defender in the world. Don't care what anybody says.
Oh wow.
Then you lost Anthony Davis' presence. You don't have a legit center on your roster because Anthony Davis been asking to get a legit center on there, and you just don't have it. Is it going to be Jackson Haynes? Like it's not going to cut it. I don't know how this Lakers team is going to work. You can rely on Jared Vanderbilt. He can't stay healthy for 20 games. None of these players can stay healthy. Like, how is this Lakers team supposed to work? Call me, like, am I crazy?
So I
Yeah, I mean,
understand. I understand what you're thinking because I think the next question should be, do we believe in the next 2 to 3 seasons the Lakers can really build a roster around Luka Doncic? Can they really do it?
right, and
Because it's
that's
going
the
to be a
question.
complete identity shift. You have to bring in
Right.
defensive guys that are healthy and can do stuff without the ball too. Like,
Yeah, and according to Mark Stein, he just put out the Mavericks and Luka Doncic until tonight were heading toward a 5-year contract extension in July worth a record $345 million.
what
And then
the
Dallas GM Nico Harrison made the call to abruptly change the direction of the franchise with one of the most stunning trades in league history. So, I mean, again, it's Luka Doncic, right? So he's in his prime, right? He is one of the best players, but like you said, it's a completely different team. And that's kind of where you have to question, like, how do you how do you put to, because like the Lakers roster is very different from Dallas's, right? Because, again, you look at the personnel, it's very different. But, you know, like I said, that's where I think it's kind of a transitional stage where it's like, you get a new star, a younger star, and you kind of go from there. Like I said, I'm just curious where LeBron fits into this equation just because, I'm assuming he's not going anywhere, right? He has a no trade clause. So he's just like you said, going to play with Luka and whomever else. Are there more moves coming? I don't know, but yeah, this is a pretty wild one to react to, just because again, I don't think any of us expected this at all. Right? There were many people who picked the Mavs to possibly go back to the finals. I mean, they were just in the finals less than a year ago, but now it's a different shift. But obviously for them, they got to win more games because they're in the play-in right now because they've been banged up. If they can get healthy, it should still be a really good team. I'm curious to see, can you compete against teams like, the Celtics and others like that? I mean, obviously now you have more of an interior presence that can play around the basket, right? Because Dallas's other bigs, they're more so just lob threats, put back guys, dump off guys. So now you have a real guy you can play through around the basket. And, it's going to be different. So now you got Kyrie and AD, Luka, LeBron, just wild. This is why people love the NBA trade deadline. It's just we didn't expect to see something like this.
Hey, listen,
And they
right?
got Austin Reeves.
Yeah,
right.
facts. Yo, people talk about the ratings. The ratings are going to go up for a good month now.
Oh, heck yeah, absolutely. This is insane.
Yeah.
Dude, like, hey, so I want to look at this, like, dude, like, so I can't even talk right now. I'm sorry. I'm lit
All
right
good.
now, if you can't tell.
All good, bro.
But look though, right? So now I want to talk about this because this ruins the whole trade deadline, specifically for my team. And I'm gonna say why. Jimmy Butler is gonna go for 5 seconds. No, I'm exaggerating. He's probably gonna go for 2 second-round picks now. If Luka's only going for
Really?
one first-round pick, what is Jimmy going for? Like, let's be realistic now. Like, Jimmy is not going for nothing. Like,
Right.
Luka, you can go.
Go on.
No, you good. You good. Good.
Yeah, I think. Well, the thing is like for Dallas, you're also setting back AD. So like the question is that if you're sending Jimmy Butler somewhere else, are you getting back a star level player in return for Jimmy Butler? Probably not. It's probably more so like contracts that add up to his salary.
Get
So
Beal.
that's where yeah, like well, I don't know
Hey,
if they're
Trent,
gonna
you
do
want
it.
Beal, bro?
Miami doesn't want Bradley Beal, and he's got a no trade clause, so he's just kind of just chilling in Phoenix, who's also kind of they're in a weird situation too, obviously, right? Because they've kind of just been, I mean, they've been playing better as of late, but they just had a weird stretch where they just they beat some decent teams, lost to some bad teams, but I don't know, it's a weird situation there. But this is obviously a Luka AD thing right now, but I mean, yeah, I mean, this is nothing can top this at this point, right? Like, like obviously we're all going to be curious to see where Butler goes. Maybe De'Aaron Fox gets moved, right? But these are obviously the two biggest names at the deadline that will be moved unless, something else crazy happens, like, Steph to Charlotte or something like that. But,
Wow.
I don't think there's no other big move like this that can ever happen that can outbeat this trade unless it's a Wemby trade. If Wemby gets traded, then this trade will be bigger than Luka. But this trade right here, I can't see no superstar. Even a Tatum trade, even a Tatum trade or like Arrow trade, like this Luka trade, because it came out of nowhere. Like no one been talking about Luka getting traded. You know what I mean? Like this, like it just came out of nowhere.
Especially
just in the finals,
going to the title. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was just in the finals, and we thought they could get back to it. I mean, Dallas wasn't either of our picks, but we still recognize that they were a title contender, with Luka and Kyrie and their supporting cast. I mean,
They got
just
better, in my opinion, as a roster. Just not
I mean,
healthy.
also like, and the other thing is like, Luka's not playing right now, but I'm just curious to see it, right? Because now for AD, this is his chance, right, to try to win a title as the number one guy, right? But like the clear cut number one. It's not like a 1A, 1B. It's a number one. So that's kind of, what we're gonna get to see now. And he's got, better defensive personnel alongside of him, right? Because like the Lakers have been playing better defensively recently, right? But Dallas as a team, for most of the season had been a better defensive team. So, and now you add AD to that mix, right? Because they didn't really give up any of their defensive guys, right? Obviously they gave up their best player, but do you think that Dallas can challenge for the West?
Now,
Yeah, like I mean, do you think that they could be one of the three best teams in the Western Conference?
there's potential,
By
bro. I mean, adding AD is no joke. I
Right.
want to see him somewhere. I'm curious how he looks somewhere else, because I think we've kind of
Right.
gotten used to the not dumbed down version of AD, but the Lakers version of AD, and I don't think that's the best version. If I'm gonna be real, like post bubble title, like I haven't been super impressed with him on the offensive end. Granted, great player, but defensively is where he shines, and I'm very curious to see what he looks like in a system like Dallas, where he's surrounded by amongst other elite defensive talent. We'll see though.
Yeah, and
So-
according to date, go on.
Yeah, my fault. It just said, right, Luka Doncic weighed 260 pounds right now. And what it also said was, now this at this point, this might happen. It says LeBron James is going to get traded. And he's going to get teamed up with the Steph Curry. And I'm not going to lie, at this point, this makes sense. LeBron
where's
teaming
that
up
from?
with Curry.
Where'd you
Huh?
see that?
Where's that from?
Legion Hoops.
Okay.
Now, you may not believe it. It's cool. I don't know if it's so true either, but I mean, LeBron might. I don't know how LeBron's going to feel about this.
Well, according to Dave McMenamin,
Yep.
he said that LeBron basically just learned about the trade. So he basically said after the Knicks game when it broke while he was out to dinner with his family.
Yo, no,
LeBron-
They got it. Yeah, Braun's out of there, bro. He's out.
Yeah,
Ron-
James was surprised by the news, is processing it, and had no idea it was in the works, sources said. So,
Good.
Okay,
yeah.
let me ask you a question: LeBron
Yeah.
to the Warriors or Luka to the Lakers? What's bigger?
Braun to the Warriors for sure.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Right
Yeah,
now.
Braun to the Warriors because if Braun goes to Golden State, we would have to see who's in the deal, right? But then obviously you got Steph, you got LeBron, but and then if it's Luka and whomever, right? That's not we'll see. Cody said breaking news: Lakers still stink.
Yeah,
That's
no
funny.
cap. I mean, they're still gonna suck, bro. But hey, for the future though, that's crazy. Having Luka as your franchise guy, it's nuts, bro.
Chris Haynes said AD is waiving his trade kicker, so so that means
All right,
To be
I
expected.
appreciate y'all. Have a good stream.
all right.
All right,
All right.
all right. Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, wow, just an absolutely insane night again. I mean, just you got AD being a Mav, Luka being a Laker. I mean, does this make sense to you?
No,
Okay,
it doesn't. It doesn't feel real. I'm waiting for somebody to pinch us, and wake us up from this crazy dream, because I just don't understand how something so last minute can happen. Because
Right.
we all know Luka was supposed to be the Mavs franchise guy. Like, that's somebody that you normally would not let go of, And that's where I'm confused. Like, I'm not buying the conditioning thing, considering you were just about to give him a record-breaking extension. I'm just not buying that. Something is amiss.
Right.
And I'm curious to know. I want to know.
Yeah,
and now the LeBron
according-
doesn't know or didn't know,
Right.
and basically found out just like the rest of us is crazy. That's
Yeah.
not supposed to happen. LeBron is supposed to
Yeah,
know. Something's
and
wrong.
remember, according to Mark Stein, Luka did not request the trade, so it
Right.
wasn't like he said, I'm done with Dallas. trade me, send me anywhere.
Right.
You know, he didn't pull a Jimmy Butler. They just moved him, right?
So
And
Dallas. Wait. So did Dallas bring this to LA and LA bit?
yes, that's what's been reported is that Dallas brought this to LA, and then I guess the Lakers were like, "Holy cow, we might get Luka.
Bro,
Let's do it."
the Lakers might have gotten baited.
So that's my question. So, and that's why I'm trying to figure out the LeBron piece
Right.
because because last year, right? You had that stuff going on around the deadline, talking about the idea of maybe the Warriors approached LeBron, the Lakers and LeBron's camp and asked like, "Hey, would you be interested in going here?" And he said no. So I don't know. I do kind of wonder, like I said, what's next for LeBron because that might mean that the Lakers probably will just be breaking this up because I mean, again, like I'm trying to figure out how the deal makes sense, and I guess again, like I mean,
Okay.
that's wild.
Here,
Like
I have a
guess,
question. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As a Lakers fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want Braun gone now? That 80 is out. Do you want LeBron gone and you can recoup as many potential assets as you possibly can to help build around and maybe kickstart building around Luka? Or are you just like, bro, let's see LeBron and Luka play together? Because I don't know. Like the whole blindsiding thing is not a good sign.
Well, the problem is the trade deadline is only in a few days.
Yep.
So I mean, it's set, and Luka's not going to play, until a little bit because he's still recovering, I guess, from his injury.
Yep.
Right. So we're not going to have a chance to see it. So that's where so is LeBron just going to be playing by himself with ID?
Oh my God.
And not even like a Max Christie, or I guess JHS either, right? Like you're not playing with those guys. That just seems that just seems kind of wild. So and I don't know, like it's just wild because when you think about it from the perspective of, let's say you were trying to concoct a Luka trade,
Sure.
would you have thought Luka for AD?
No.
No, you
been
wouldn't
my
have.
first pick. No,
You
not
wouldn't
at
have
all.
thought that at all.
Nope.
You wouldn't have thought that at all, right? Like, because usually if a star gets moved, it's something along the lines of like maybe some young promising guys, maybe some picks. It's not usually, I mean, sometimes we'll see star for star, but it kind of depends, on
not to
what
this
we're
degree.
looking at. Right? Like say, like we had Kawhi and DeRozan, but Kawhi was in a different tier than DeRozan, right?
Yeah,
But
happens.
it's kind of like a superstar for a star level player. And
some more assets.
and then, right. Or say like when but then like say when the Nets traded for James Harden, right? it wasn't that type of deal, right? It was like, Jared Allen going to Cleveland, right? What was it like Oladipo going to Houston, right? Karis LeVert moving on to Indiana or wherever it was, right? So those are usually those type of deals. So I mean, but I don't know. So I as a Laker fan, I'm just baffled that they moved on from AD because they had been playing better recently. So my thought process was I was thinking that they were probably going to maybe make some smaller-ish moves, to try to improve the team, see what they can do. Probably not win the title, but at least try to compete and contend, because they're the 5th seed right now. They've been winning a lot of games.
I thought they were
recently.
just going to grab a big,
Right.
But
and
now
again,
I'm concerned though. My BS radar is going off where it's like I feel like there is something wrong, and I'm hoping it's not with Luka. Like I'm hoping. I don't know. Do you remember what kind of injury he has that's been keeping him out for a while? Because I hope it's not. Because I'm hoping that it's not one of those injuries where we might not see the Luka from last year.
I don't know. I legitimately don't know because there's a lot of different things going on, but I mean, I know it sounds kind of funny to hear me say I don't know, but I mean,
nobody knows.
I don't know how to react to this. I mean, again, as a Laker fan, it's like, wow, we got Luka Doncic, but I didn't expect AD to go. But and with the LeBron potentially not knowing what's going on, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing. I think the Dave McMenamin guy has a pretty good connection with LeBron, right? Like he's a guy that usually, gets a lot of information from him. They have, a good relationship. So I mean, that's so that means you're telling me after the Knicks game, he just got done dropping a triple-double. He's eating dinner with his family, and then they just tell him, "Oh, by the way, we traded Anthony Davis." for Luka.
crazy.
Have a good evening.
That's
And
crazy.
it's like, okay.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's why I'm like,
So-
something's wrong, bro.
Right. Like, again. So I guess my question is, if you're LeBron, what do you do? What do you do if you're LeBron? Like, would you just kind of be like, all right, get me out of here, and send me somewhere else, wherever, right? Or am I going to stay and just kind of retire and just kind of ride it out in LA? See what it's like with Luka. I don't know.
Bro.
What do you think?
I don't know, because I normally we don't cuss on the podcast, but I'm gonna just use a light one. Luka's a hell of a player.
Right.
And I think Braun probably can't look over that fact, because I think everybody's curious. What does a LeBron and Luka duo even look like? How does that work? How are they going to share the ball? What are we doing here? Because I think the ideal pairing for LeBron would probably be, maybe a star level point guard or a star level center like AD or power forward like we've seen in the past. But I don't know, man, because Luka's a different kind of player. Like, I know he's a point guard in some people's eyes, but that's a very ball dominant.
Yeah.
They're honestly more of the similar archetype. I would say Luka's probably, a little bit more greedy.
Even more ball dominant.
Yeah, a little bit more greedy and ball dominant on the offensive end and stuff like that. But, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, but I want to see him go to Golden State. I want to see LeBron and Steph team up, bro. Okay. Why are you saying that, bro? Why are you whatever, bro? But yeah, I want to see him. I don't know.
Yeah.
What does LeBron do? Like, we really have to put ourselves in his shoes. Like, what do you do?
Right.
Because his career is almost over.
Right.
And I don't I'm gonna be real. I don't think the Lakers have a shot at winning the title with the roster as currently constructed now.
Yeah.
Without AD.
So that's my question. My question is, do they make other moves?
I think
or do
Braun's
they just
out of there. Braun's out of there.
Yeah, it's like
I might buy into
question.
the Trent. I might buy into the Trent drunk tweet,
so
bro. I might dude, I might have to buy into
so that's my question. Do they make other moves? Do they, because the reason why I have to bring this up is because you may not know this, but they don't have their pick this year. We talked about it, so I'm just saying, like, in terms of the audience, they don't have their first this year. It goes to the Atlanta Hawks. So there should be no scenario, in theory, where you throw the season away. But obviously, I guess if you have Luka, you're not throwing the season away if he's healthy.
Well, he's not.
But exactly, that's the problem. So that's my question, where we're trying to figure out, like, what's going on here. Just because, you got to look at it from the perspective of, this is just some crazy stuff going on here. So
there's got to be more to this, though. I can't wait for more.
I mean, yeah, like that's so like that's the thing, is there's got to be more stuff coming in terms of the, we got to be getting more information coming in, just because I don't know, just because, like, you're, like you said, you're completely shifting the identity of the team, regardless of whether or not, you keep LeBron, right? Like, this is a different team now, because Luka is a very different player from AD, right? So that's, I don't know. I don't really know how to really respond to this. Just, have we ever seen a trade like this? I don't think we have.
Not in our lifetime.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't think of one. I mean, in terms of previous star for star trades, not to this level, especially when it's like two teams that, like, in theory, are trying to contend. Obviously with Dallas, it's a different type of team because it's a younger star versus, like, an older duo with LeBron and AD. But I don't know. That's kind of the situation. How will the Lakers deal with the adversity of pairing a star next to LeBron, who has never been? Yeah, I'm not reading the rest of that. All right, so
hey, yo, bro, come on, man. What are we doing, bro?
I'm not reading the rest of that. Surely this lack of experience hurts them in the long run.
Hey, yo.
No. Yeah, I mean, welcome to the stream, Cody. But I mean, I don't know. This is just kind of a crazy thing. And again, it's funny because we haven't streamed in a while, right? The last time we streamed
Opening
was
night,
the
right?
Olympics. Yeah, it was like opening night, the Olympics
week,
or whatever. Yeah, opening week. So I mean, I just, and now we're going from that to this. I mean,
what a life, man. What a life.
Because that's the thing. Like, because I don't, because we'll see what happens with the deadline stream or whatever. But like, I mean, this alone, I mean, is again tops all other trades. I mean, you can't top this. You cannot top this.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, Jimmy Butler could go to, the Philadelphia 76ers or the
Ain't nobody
Warriors or
caring,
Phoenix. It wouldn't top it. It
Yeah.
wouldn't top it at all.
This is still
Like-
going to be talked about over that every day of the
Yeah,
week.
I mean, it's like Trent said. This is a thing that is going to be talked about forever, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
For sure. Yeah,
So,
it's crazy.
so I guess let's say you're Nico Mannion, right? What's your thought process going into here? Because we're getting different reporting saying that, okay, the Mavs were preparing to give him his, Supermax extension. But then you also have other reporting saying they're concerned about his conditioning. Do we really want to give him a $300+ million deal, the most expensive in NBA history? But it's still Luka. So, I mean, I guess, what's the thought process if you're Nico Mannion, and then what's the thought process if you're Rob Pelinka?
Well, clearly everybody knows something that we don't. And that's the thing that's really kind of irking me and pissing me off, because you don't just trade away Luka, That's why I think there might be some serious level of concern potentially with his health, and they're labeling it as conditioning. He might not be available, not for the rest of the season, but for the majority of this season. And I think that's probably what the mindset is going to be, because if they're moving like that, then yeah, I think the whole AD move makes a ton of sense, because like Trent said, like you said, it's a win now move. You're bringing in AD to replace somebody who wasn't healthy and wasn't available. And your best ability is your availability. So what are we talking about here? This automatically,
Right.
I think, moves them up a tier in terms of the level of seriousness that we do have to take when it comes to this team on both ends of the floor, because already they were a solid defensive team, and you add a depoy candidate in the mix. I think it changes a heck of a lot. And we already know what Kyrie's been able to do this season. All-star snub, by the way. But, I think the talent is there. The coaching is there. The roster is now there. I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense from both sides now that I'm really kind of letting it marinate. And from the Lakers' perspective and Pelinka, you're just trying to blow it up, like you said, because you're running out of time. You can't just blow it up at the end, like, the very, very end. And I think this is kind of smart to get, your potential franchise, your next potential franchise guy in a early-ish trade, where you give up your second option, I guess. Really, he was the first, in my opinion, as of late. But yeah, I think it makes sense for both sides. The reasoning is a little bit different. One is for foresight, and the other is more for the here and now, win now. Let's try and get this championship because we went last year.
And according to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, he said apparently a rift had been forming between Anthony Davis and Lakers management, especially after his sit-down interview with ESPN. So that, if you haven't seen it yet, that's the one where he's talking to Shams about getting a center. Clearly, like, kind of trying to force and pressure the Lakers into doing something. And I guess they were like, all right, we'll just trade you instead.
Good.
So, yeah, and that's the thing. So we're now going to have to unpack this, over probably the next few days, because, again, the trade deadline is Thursday.
Yeah.
So there could potentially be more stuff to this, as we go to, as we kind of get through this. But I did not expect to live stream today, because
we were about to go to sleep.
Yeah, because again, I just watched the Lakers get a win against the New York Knicks, and they'd been playing pretty well without AD. I mean, they got the Knicks one without AD, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. So, do we think LeBron gets moved at this point? Like, are we
I might buy into
50%? So we're closer to he's probably not going to be a Laker for much longer,
bro. I don't see a world where he's going to continue to be a Laker after they pretty much just blindsided him at dinner. You know what I mean?
Right. And yeah,
he might be. Why are you putting dots? Why are you putting dots? Anyway,
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because I mean, again, just this is something that just doesn't normally happen. But again, I know, with Pelinka, right? He's kind of had a reputation for, kind of being a guy, that kind of, doesn't have, like, I don't think has the greatest reputation around the league, right? So
yeah, people think he's an idiot.
Well, I think they also think he's kind of like a snake oil salesman type guy, possibly,
Yeah.
right? But so Mark Stein also putting out Luka Doncic was targeting a February 8th return from his calf strain, sources say, but long-term concerns about conditioning are said to have factored into Dallas's shocking change of course. Now Anthony Davis will partner Kyrie Irving, and the Lakers have their heir to LeBron James. Like,
Whatever.
some of that just doesn't add up, like you said, where it's like, what am I reading? Like, what am I reading?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I guess my other question is, let's say like Luka wasn't traded yet, right? Could you have actually gotten back a better deal?
Like, okay, so
Like,
you're saying could the Lakers have done something different at the
no,
deadline?
if you're Dallas and you
Oh,
traded Luka, like,
oh,
let's say you're just like, we're gonna trade Luka. Is there like a world where like you could have possibly gotten a better deal than what it is?
realistically, no.
Okay,
I could think of some things that I think I would do if I was a GM, but at the same time, I don't think those would ever happen.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I
So
think this is like this. This might have been like a freaking Hail Mary, and the Lakers actually said yes. That's what I think it
right.
might be because I just don't understand where
Yeah.
something like this comes from.
Yeah. So
Holy crap!
yeah. So I I don't know. I don't know how to react to this, but clearly, again, more stuff is gonna have to be coming in, because I mean it can't just be this. It can't just be this. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something else going on in the works. But I just, yeah. And according to ESPN, this deal materialized in the shadows. LeBron James had no idea this was coming. Anthony Davis had no idea this was coming. I'm told Luka Doncic is still stunned about this trade. So you're telling me that all these guys got moved, none of these guys had any idea was coming? Something's up.
I think there's more for sure.
Yeah.
Does it taste good? Yeah, heck yeah, tastes great actually. You want some? But yeah, I don't know, bro. Like I said, this stuff just doesn't happen. This is like Trent said, generational trade, bro. This could really be make or break for the Lakers, in my opinion. I think Dallas might have a little bit less to lose here because I think the foundation and what you have in place might be slightly better than the Lakers per se. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And
Oof.
that's, and yeah, I don't know. And again, like, there's got to be other stuff. Because say, like, a couple of the guys that the Lakers got can't even play, like, not even Luka, right? Like, Maxi Kleber can't play. He's got a broken foot. So,
Right. How do you feel about
I don't
losing
know.
Max Christie?
I mean, it stinks because, from the perspective of, he didn't play a whole lot his first 2 years, aside from occasional stretches. People complain about him not getting a whole lot of minutes last year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he wasn't necessarily ready, but he didn't get the opportunity. And then he gets paid. He struggles to begin the season. Then, he consistently started playing better. Then, as of late, he's been playing well enough to be in the starting five, right? The team had moved away from, offense first to more of a defensive minded group. So it stinks, right? Because again, there's no one else on the roster at the guard spot that's like that. That can kind of be a 3-and-D defensive minded guard that can also, be athletic, get you some rebounds. I mean, the only other guy on the roster like that is quote unquote Cam Reddish, but he doesn't even play. So, I
Right.
mean, and he's not as good as Max Christie anyway. So, it's just wild because he was, it looked like he was really finding his way this year. Again, I just watched him have a great game against the New York Knicks. So how does he feel about it? Like, he's gonna probably is he gonna go from starting to coming off the bench? Is he gonna start in Dallas? Because now that with Luka gone, that leaves a hole in the two guard spot, right? Because maybe Max Christie goes in there. I guess Clay Thompson, I guess, still starts at the 3. Then you got PJ and AD, and then that means you got to probably move one of I guess Gafford. Well, Lively's hurt, so he can't even play right now,
Yeah.
anyways.
Right.
But what do you do with him? Like, do you just keep both Gafford and Lively, and then just be like, oh, well, come playoff time, we'll just play all 3? I don't know.
Hey, it might work. It really might work because all 3 of them can do some amazing stuff on both ends of the floor.
Right. So that's the question. So I guess then we look at it, say, from, if you're a team in the East, does Dallas worry you? Let's look at it from this perspective, I guess, right?
Mhm.
So like, let's say, last year, replace Luka with AD, right? How does that look?
That's a tough matchup.
Okay.
I think it's a tough
And then
matchup
now
because
obviously it's different.
defensive,
Yeah.
like, or offensively, how are you going to look against that kind of team? Because against Dallas with Luka, you can pick on him, can attack him night in, night out, game after game. You can attack him because we already know he has defensive limitations and effort issues on the defensive end. But like with a guy like AD, he's going to give you full effort on both ends of the floor, and I think that's the tough part. I think it makes Porzingis less valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess this is the end of LeGM in a way too, because I mean,
Yeah,
clearly
isn't
he
that
didn't
funny,
orchestrate this.
bro? That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Because remember, I can't remember what episode we talked about it, but I was like, you don't have to bend to Braun and AD, and look at what the Lakers are doing. That's amazing. Good for the Lakers.
But it's wild just because, I know they've had different points, right? Where, say like you wanted Ty Lue, they didn't get Ty Lue. I guess you wanted them to keep Caruso, they didn't keep Caruso. So it's just kind of like this weird dynamic where I think post Westbrook era, you could kind of tell that like whatever relationship that both sides had with each other, I think kind of started to go away, right? Because like, I think everybody wanted him. And nobody wanted to necessarily admit that, like, yeah, we were all, like, it was your fault, it was your fault, things like that. So
Right.
I think that was said on episode 4. Episode 4 was like 3 years ago.
Don't pay this guy any mind, bro. He's still stuck on the debut episode. It's all right. Get that video to 100 views, by the way, please.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I guess say. Okay, so let's say now if you're the Lakers, right, from that perspective, what's the next move? So like let's say
Braun.
Oh, so like you said what?
Braun, get him out of there.
Okay. All right, and then what? And I guess the question is, what's the package for him? Because it's probably not. It's probably not. It's probably not something like this, right? Where you're getting back, a star in his prime. You're probably getting back a different type of return, right? Because wherever he wants to go, would he probably prefer to go to someplace where you don't have to gut the team, but you kind of have to because of his contract. So, what's the team that he can even really go to? Like if it's Golden State, I mean, what's the salary? I guess it would be like what you might have given up for Butler, but you just give it up for LeBron. So what is that, like Wiggins?
Yeah.
Like Wiggins, and then whatever other salaries you put in there.
Shoot, I'd do that in a heartbeat. And Braun has the no trade clause.
Right. So yeah, but if he wants to go somewhere, it'll be like, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
like that works.
Right. So that's the thing where I do kind of wonder what's next. Just because, again, this is something that I don't think any of us expected.
Woo! Holy crap! I'm still in disbelief, bro.
Right. So I guess if this is, assuming this is the end of the AD era, he got a title. Still a perennial All-Star, All-NBA guy, right? And now as a Laker, right, he was able to kind of, I guess, move up on the all-time tier. Even though, again, it's a different type of AD. But when they first played together, right, that was as good of a pairing as you were gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just from the perspective of both guys playing pretty well on both ends of the floor, they both fit next to each other, and the roster they put together, right, really fit. And then it seemed like year after year, they made some mistakes. The roster became different. And then that kind of, yeah, exactly. And it was the lowest point with the Russ move, right? That was the move where that was the mistake, and that probably ended the window for them because he just gave up too much. They tried to bounce back in a way they did, and then obviously they did what they did last summer, or I guess now 2 off seasons ago, right? And then looking back, that wasn't as ideal, right? Because Vincent didn't really play a whole lot. Prince was fine, but now it's done. So I guess if we look back on the LeBron AD era, what do we think of it?
solid. You got a chip out of it. I mean, there was some drama, like you said. There were mistakes that were made. There was a coaching carousel, but at the end of the day, you got the title, and I think that's all that really matters. I think you probably would have wanted to get another one, but realistically, that's a very hard feat to do. And I think
Especially now.
exactly, and I think everybody has to be, firing on all cylinders, and all the gears have to be moving. And I just don't think the organization was at that point. There were just problems. Everything could be running smoothly from a player perspective, but there was maybe a coaching problem or a front office problem. And I just don't think they were able to overcome that. So, I mean, I'm not a Laker fan, but from the outside looking in, I would say, they got the title. And I think that kind of trumps everything, if that makes sense. But I could be completely wrong. I know Lakers fans are probably like, bro, this is so stupid,
Just,
But I don't know.
I think everybody's in shock, right?
Yeah.
Just because again, the team was playing well, looking better. Again, could they actually win the title? Probably not. But you look at it as like at least maybe you make some moves, invest, and kind of improve it. But I mean,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
Holy cow.
they went. Yeah, they went in a different. I guess the question is it really a rebuild if you have Luka? It's more like a reset, because like a rebuild would be like
retool.
because like a rebuild would be we're trading both of these guys just for draft picks and like bad or expiring contracts.
Yeah, it's not a rebuild.
Yeah, but if you're getting back a star, I mean, superstar. I mean that's not that can't be a rebuild. So that's
a
the
retool
problem
for sure.
Yeah. So I guess let's say, if you're the Lakers, let's say you trade LeBron and then it's Luka and whatever. Who is your next person that you'd set your sights on if you're LA to pair with Luka then? That's the question.
Yeah, because I think you do need another star. I think you need a two-way guy. Who would be a premier two-way guy?
Right. So that's the question. That's the problem. Because say like, if you look around the league, how many stars are on teams that are kind of like, because like that's the problem. Like with the Bucks, right? I would assume they're trying to continue to retool and try to figure out what to do with Middleton. Doesn't seem like Giannis is going anywhere, right? And then you look around the league, most of the other young stars, right? Those guys that they just drafted, they're not going anywhere. So like, who's the next guy? Because that's the question that I would have looking around the rest of the league in terms of these stars. Like, who's the guy that you put next to Luka? That's my question.
Right, and that's gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
When would that even kick in?
Right. I mean, that would probably be in the summer because I just don't know how you'd be able to pull off. That would be the summer because I don't think you could pull off a deal for two stars. In the same deadline. I don't.
Right.
I mean, unless it's like you swap Braun for some other star, but
I don't think that happens.
Then that probably doesn't happen. So that's the problem. So that's my question, right? And it's like, is this a De'Aaron Fox place now? Like, I mean, probably not.
I don't like that because I don't like that.
Yeah, because like Fox and Luka. I mean, but then it's like, what are you giving up if you're the Lakers? Like, you're not sending LeBron to Sacramento, right? So like, that's the question that I have in terms of like, there's got to, because if you're planning long term with Luka, there's got to be another guy. I mean, I know that he was able to get to the Western Conference Finals, right, where it was like, kind of him and other pieces, right, like a younger Brunson. But like, if you wanted to win a chip, I think, like you said, you need some type of two-way star next to him, that can kind of take some pressure off him defensively while still being able to get their own. It's just, who is it? That would be my question.
Yeah.
Because, and like I said, it can't be in the draft because they don't have their own pick. And there's no way they're going to get that pick back unless you make a trade with the Hawks. But, you're not doing that, right? It's not going to, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from here, because we already know. I don't think Luka can do it by himself. I think that's been proven. I think he needs either a two-way star or an extremely defensively focused, supporting cast.
Yeah, but then if you do that,
I don't know.
Right, and if you go all in on defense, then you're kind of wondering like, all right, well, where's the offense coming from outside of just Luka, right? You can't, because the league is too good now to be in a spot where it's like one guy, not really a whole lot else other than defense. That just doesn't work.
Yeah. Would you
So
rather pair Luka with a star big or a star wing or a star guard? What would you want as a Laker fan, like, to pair with
I mean,
Luka
it's
down
fun
the line?
because it's funny because he was able to play with Kyrie, right? Who's a guard. I guess he played with Porzingis, different tier, right? But that's a big, right? And then, since he's like a biggish guard, but can also do some forward stuff, he could play next to any of those three positions. So I think that's kind of the nice thing about his game, I guess, in theory, right? So I would just think, like, to protect him defensively, I guess the thought process is like, you either, if you're gonna get a defensive big, like, the problem is that if you get a star, then you're not going to really be able to do anything else. And, like, who's the big? Like, you're not getting, you get Bam, probably not. Um, and after that, most of the other centers are probably relatively content in their situations, right? Like, Jokic isn't going anywhere. I don't think Philly could even trade Embiid if they wanted to, because who would that's too much of a risk, too much of a gamble,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then after that, Towns, sure, he's very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the issue. So, so I feel like it would have to probably be it would probably have to be, like, ideally some type of wing, and then, kind of fill in the rest of the positions elsewhere, I would think. The Luka Kyrie pairing worked. It's just, I think ideally you'd like one of them, and then the other one is more like 3 and D, just because I feel like, because at the end of the day, if you're going to close games with two guards, Kyrie could, would try on the defensive end. It's just there'd still be some limitations there. So it could work with any of them. It's just a matter of who's available.
Right.
But that's why I'm saying, like, this is a long-term thing, because we're not going to get that answer now. So, but if
Yeah.
neither LeBron or AD knew, that's got to be like, something else is going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
Do you think there was anything else that we needed to touch on?
not really, because again, this was kind of the main thing. You look around the league. Obviously, we don't really need to cover the games because we'll probably talk about that on our regular episode, if that. But there's not. What else can you really say? Because again, just there's probably going to be more coming. Now, according to Jake Fisher, he just put out Dallas had contacted several teams this week looking to reroute additional salary for a potential 3-team deal, sources said. A bunch of teams knew inklings about the Mavericks being close on a trade. Nobody knew it was trading Luka Doncic. So
Came out of nowhere.
So both sides, I guess, clearly had been in the works on this for a little bit, but nobody knew somehow. And
Way to
now
keep it under wraps, man. Holy.
yeah. So now I'm just curious to see what's next from this perspective. Because again, it's both teams are gonna look very different. So
Yeah.
but it's funny because again, I remember a year ago, we just read a rumor, kind of rolled our eyes and laughed about it at the idea of, like, oh, the Lakers are going to be chasing after Luka, when he's free agent or whatever it is, right? But they ended up just getting him now, I guess. They got him early.
I was like, bro, please.
Yeah. Well, we both, even as a Laker fan, I dismissed it. Little did I know that's what's going to happen.
Crazy.
So.
Look at us now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's nothing else, we appreciate every single one of you guys who did show up and show out in a live stream, especially one that was so spur of the moment, and last minute, to the point where, we're about to go to sleep after playing 2K and we just spark up a live stream and you guys showed up and supported. Shout out to Gael Navarrete, Miami Heat Network, Trent, Glitchy Zeke, of course, Miami Heat Zone, Cody, Samwi. Yeah, shout out to all you guys. Might be doing another stream very soon. We'll see. But yeah, we'll be having an episode come out on Monday. Thank you guys for all your support night in, night out. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next video or live stream. Thank you.